Hey everyone, Tuto back from Spyral Gameplay. This time with a live gameplay recording. Now, I'm not playing live, but I was playing in Dkayd's weekly meta tournament with Spyral and Tri-Brigade Zodiac. It's a 2-deck format, and I chose Zodiac even though I'm bad with it and have no experience because it's a decent going second deck. And my idea is I can probably win one of two games with Spyral because I get to go first in one of those games, and then I'm almost always playing the Zoo deck, the Tri-Zoo deck second, so it's a good going second deck, and that's my reason for playing it. You're not going to see a lot of games from me playing the Zodiac Tri-Brigade deck because I'm bad at it, and any commentary I have would be grossly misinformed, and I wouldn't even be able to analyze my own mistakes because I have no experience with it. But yeah, this is Spyral. This is round one, game one against Fictinium, who I think is a topping performer in previous tournaments because I know they're in the qualifiers for the $1,000 tournament like me. They thought I had a god hand here, but I did not. So let's kind of go through it real quick before I go any further. So I had a Magician Souls, which is always good. Can't complain about that. But I have no revival effect. I have no resort to get quick fix. I have no Monster Reborn. I have no dangers to draw me deeper. I just have a master plan in hand. But I also had an assault mission, so I can discard this assault mission to draw a card and then special summon Master Plan off the assault mission. So that's going to work out pretty. It's bad because I using my assault mission early is never good. It means I can't get into drone later in the turn. So it's a slightly worse than usual combo. It's a lower percentage combo, right? A sub 50% combo. But yeah, Magician Souls activate Assault, so special summon Master Plan. My opponent clearly has an Ash Blossom here. They didn't have a prompt earlier, and as soon as I draw a card, which is something they can Ash, they get a prompt. So I'm just going to play around Ash for the rest of my turn. I draw a Danger, which is interesting. Knowing that my opponent has Ashed while I have Called by the Grave in hand means I cannot activate this Danger, even though I would like to see if I can draw into another extender. But because I don't want to risk discarding Called by the Grave, I'm going to have to wait until my opponent finally chooses to Ash. My opponent is going to sit on the Ash here, and I don't know. Maybe this is probably the best time for them to do it, honestly, because otherwise I'm just going to keep going off, and like there's nothing that's going to be better to Ash than the earliest play. Like they don't know I have extenders in hand or I have a Call by the Grave in hand, so it's not going to matter, but like there wasn't a better Ash than that one because it's going to make my Barricade Board Blocker worse. So go ahead and go into Barricade Board Blocker, discard Rescue Mission. I'm going to chain block my Master Plan knowing that they have an Ash in hand, but you would always do that. Funnily enough, knowing that my opponent had an Ash, it might have been better for me to not chain block this correctly and let them Ash it so I could get my Call by the Grave, but that would just be sloppy, honestly. It's probably not worth it. The Master Plan Graveyard effect is your most powerful search effect, so you almost never want to, you don't ever want to make that susceptible to anything if you can help it. So maybe they have a Ghost Spell too, who knows, right? So I get my Resort and my Quick Fix. I'm actually not going to activate my Resort like I normally do because I have this Danger in hand. I don't want to discard the card I get off it later. So I'm still waiting to use Call by the Grave before I activate my Resort. This would be a decent time for my opponent to throw a Call by the Grave out. You know, Quick Fix represents a revival, though I do have a Rescue Mission in Graveyard, so no matter what, I was going to be able to special summon this Master Plan no matter what they Ashed. This is kind of like the strength of Spyral once it gets going. Like, it's even without Call by the Grave, I could still combo. It can fight through Ash Blossom pretty effectively, or like a Ghost Spell or something. So I go ahead and get Big Red, activate Big Red. You always want to activate Big Red first while you have a Rescue Mission in Graveyard because it plays around DD Crow. My opponent would have already DD Crow'd at this point, I think, if they had it, but you know, you can chain Rescue Mission to a hand trap and special summon your Master Plan without it getting banished or something. So I go ahead and use Master Plan. At this point, I think this is when my opponent Ashes, right? I haven't actually seen this game since I played it. But, yeah, there it is. And I'm going to Call by the Grave it, though it doesn't matter too much here. It's just this Call by the Grave isn't doing much else. And this does save me material. And maybe this is why my opponent thought I had a God hand, because Call by the Grave on Ash is good. If you have combat plus Call by, it's never bad. But this Ash wasn't stopping me regardless, so eh. It might have actually been better to hold that Call by the Grave in hand for later, and you'll see why. So I go ahead and get Rescue Mission, as per usual, and now I can activate my Jackalope, and then use my Spyral Resort. But I'm unlucky. I'm a terrible player, and my Jackalope sniped itself instead of getting one of the other two cards that I would have preferred in the graveyard. I hit the 33% chance of a negative outcome. So I'll go ahead and send Mothman, because Mothman's the worst danger. You never really want to draw it on turn 3. So you want to summon it. It's also a 4, so that's good. The nice thing about Jackalope, though, is it always gets you a danger on the field, which sets up your Curious better. I go ahead and use Resort to get Super Agent here instead of the usual Sleeper because I need to turn on my double Helix, and because I don't have Assault Mission available anymore, I cannot special summon my drone to turn on my double Helix, so I need another way to look at my opponent's top card. A Super Agent gets me that. And I'm just going to go ahead and use my Quick Fix at this point, just, you know, get everything that I need in the graveyard. The sequencing here isn't that big a deal because my opponent had Nibiru. They would almost certainly drop it here before my Helix can activate, not after my Helix activates. So you know, I think if I'm being honest, the best sequence here is use Super Agent to top the card, and then immediately use Helix to go get my Sleeper. But yeah, you can see me actually contemplating here. Can I get this drone? Is there any way for me to summon this drone? I decide, nope, there isn't, so I'm just going to go ahead and get Last Resort because I'm not going to get any more Quick Fix searches. Because without drone, I can't go into Princessprite, so my Quick Fix is going to banish itself. Funnily enough, I call it right out of habit, though it might not have been correct for me to do that. And you'll see why on the end board. I do it out of habit, but if I was thinking through how my combo is going to end up, it's not going to be good. So I'll go ahead and get Master Plan. Again, I could use Double Helix here, but I'm just using it to get Sleeper, so I don't really care if it gets milled off of my Curious, because if it does get milled, Helix can get it from my graveyard. It's technically correct to use my Helix earlier than Curious here, because I'd rather potentially mill something else than Sleeper, but there's no good... I guess Zephyros maybe, so getting one more card out of my deck to mill a different card than Sleeper potentially is better. So this is a slight misplay for me, a sequencing misplay. But at this point, my opponent has no interaction, and I just don't really care. I'm just kind of stitching together the combo out of habit. And I don't discard anything of relevance regardless. So I'll go ahead and just use my Sleeper, or use my Helix to go get Sleeper. And hey, it's Lyrilusc. You know it's a Lyrilusc deck, so Sleeper is actually very important against that because you need a way to pop a Nightingale if they can somehow force it through your negates and then go into Zeus. Or pop their monsters before they go into Nightingale, probably. So I go ahead and activate Destrudo at this point, because why not? The more tight play here would be go straight into Appaloosa off Curious and Quick Fix. Immediately you see me go like, hey, I can go into Baronne off of Destrudo and Super Agent. Why don't I just do that? And then I realized, well, then I wouldn't get my freaking Haka Firex. Stop being silly, and I just, you know, click Haka Firex and make Haka Firex. I always try to second guess what I'm doing when it's like a extra deck play, because you can't take those back, or the mistake of an extra deck play is worse than the mistake of like a main deck play a lot of the time. So go ahead and get Haka Firex because I already have my Jet Synchron in the graveyard. I can summon Ash Blossom. And so I'm going to go ahead and do the thing where I make Baronne on my own turn as opposed to on my opponent's turn with Desert Locusts plus Super Agent. And the reason for that is so let's say if I had one more card in hand, like let's say my Danger didn't hit itself, I would turn the Super Agent and this Ash into IP Masquerena, and then I would summon the Super Agent with the Rescue, and then summon the Master Plan with a Rescue to make the Borreload and the Desert Locust plus Super Agent into Baronne. That would be the most efficient way to do it, but I'm not going to have a card in my hand at the end of this turn, and I realize that at this point right now. So actually having Super Agent on the field is bad. I was thinking like, oh, I'm going to do the Desert Locust part of the combo because I can then make IP Masquerena, but IP Masquerena isn't going to do a whole lot here. Now there is an argument to say I should still do that because an IP Masquerena on the field is good against evenly matched, but like you could go into IP Masquerena and like make a big Axis Kotaker if they can force through an evenly matched resolution on you. But my opponent's only going to have 5 cards in hand. I don't expect them to be playing evenly matched and try to get Lyrilusc, and I think it's better for me to play around a card like Forbidden Droplets on my Haka Firex first by making Baronne early on my turn, as opposed to, you know, making the same board with an IP Masquerena when I don't have a good Unicorn line, because I don't have any cards to discard at the end of this turn. So that's my thought process here, and once I came to that conclusion, I probably should have, like, if I had really planned out my turn from the start more efficiently, I would have just called trap cards, something less likely to be on the top of my opponent's deck, and summon Super Agent, and try to miss my Super Agent summon. But I wasn't thinking that far ahead. I was thinking I could still make IP Masquerena. And if the Jackalope had hit a better card, that might have still been the case. Like any card that could extend me further. Because I still had to discard off Jet Synchron, I was going to never have the card in hand unless it would have +1 me in some way. But there was some cards that +1 me in that situation, like a Foolish Burial for a Zephyros would have done it, for instance. I could like bounce my Spyral Resort, play Spyral Resort again, go get my other Master Plan or my Drone, and have a card to discard. But yeah, so here we are. I'm going to go ahead and make Baronne, and you might know that's basically the end of the combo and the end of the game. My opponent's only got 5 cards. I've got 2 Omnis, a Pop, 2 Monster Negates against a Monster combo deck, and a discard. There's just nothing they can do, really. Oh, actually, I already had both Master Plans in graveyard. I could have gone and gotten Drone off of the second Resort activation of Zephyros, but there we go. And I think my opponent concedes at this point. They were really upset about this game, saying I had like a god hand. But it was actually a below-average hand that just seems like a god hand because Spyral can be so powerful at times. So yeah, that was it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that game. And I'm going to have a couple more games from the tournament. There's a lot of them that weren't very interesting and wouldn't make good videos. But there will be a couple more coming forward. I ended up top 8ing, which was solid. I got a little unlucky in the final game of the top 8, but that happens, right? I'm not going to complain about it. You know, I got lucky in other games, clearly. So yeah, if you enjoyed this game, if you enjoyed the content, go ahead and like leave a like, subscription, or a comment. I'll probably respond to a comment if you got them, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye.